It's That Betting Show. I'm Teddy Covers at Teddy_Covers on Twitter. We have no Donnie Rightside today. You can still follow him at Donnie Rightside. He should be back tomorrow, a previous engagement, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to get the news you need to succeed tonight in betting action in 20 minutes or less, right here on That Betting Show, sportsbookreview.com. Let's start with segment one like we do every day. Hot topic, and the number one topic today, oh my God, have you seen the prices for the tickets for Duke, North Carolina tonight? A single ticket, more than 10 grand early in the week. The get-in price soaring over $2,000. This is like Super Bowl level of excitement for a college basketball game. And obviously, Duke, North Carolina is the college basketball game. It's the first meeting between these two teams this season. I'll break it down more later in the show, but a lot of this, Zion Williamson, Roy Williams, quote, Zion is a different bird, no question about that. We tried to recruit him very, very hard. He's got a combination of skill set that I've never seen before. There's a lot of attention, but he deserved it. He deserves it. He's backed it up. No, yes, Zion is a big draw, but $2 grand for standing room? I'd rather watch it on TV. That being said, I'm sure it will be quite the experience for those who are going to be at Cameron Indoor Arena tonight. Antonio Brown and Art Rooney meet, and they agree. What'd they agree? Bye-bye. Let's move on. And this is a win-win for both teams. I don't think Antonio Brown wanted to be there, and I'll tell you, if you have a receiver that's getting paid and he doesn't want to be there, you don't want him there. Antonio Brown is definitely worth something in the trading markets for Pittsburgh. Of course, finding a guy comparable to what he's been able to produce for them won't be easy for the Steelers this offseason. And if you're looking at this Pittsburgh roster right now, without Antonio Brown, with Ben Roethlisberger older and older every year, with all the divisions in that locker room, I've got my concerns about Pittsburgh being as good as they've been in 2019. Certainly, the markets are reflecting that as well. The Steelers sitting at 18-1 right now to win the Super Bowl in 2019. We've been taking a look at MLB, going one team at a time, and that's what we'll do throughout the rest of February and into March. We'll end up previewing all 30 MLB teams for this season. Today, how about the defending World Series champs? We talked the Baltimore Orioles, the worst team in baseball last year. Now we'll talk the best team in terms of Boston. They went 108-54 a season ago. That 108 wins translated to plus 31 units of profit if you bet on the Red Sox in every regular season game. And they made another 10 units in the postseason. That was number 2 in MLB for the season. Only the A's were more profitable, and that's because Oakland was an underdog for half the season, whereas Boston favored pretty consistently. They were plus 20 units on the run line. They were moneymakers at Fenway. They were moneymakers on they won 51 road games last year. No trend for them when it came to totals, 78 overs, 77 unders. The question is, we know how this Red Sox team is going to be priced, all right? They're going to be priced like one of the, if not the best team in baseball. However, when we look at can we make money with this team the way that we did last year, I got some questions about that. Certainly, there were 4 players in MLB last year with an OPS above 1, 1 point, blah, whatever. The Red Sox had 2 of them. They had the AL MVP in Mookie Betts, and of course, J.D. Martinez, the free agent signing with 43 homers and 130 RBIs. To get that level of production, again, only 4 guys in baseball did it. 2 of them were on the Red Sox. Get that level of production from both of those guys this season will be hard to do. And of course, they have Sale returning, they have Price returning, Porcello, Eovaldi, one of the better bullpens in MLB. Boston could have a successful season, a very successful season, and win 95 games, 96, 98. At those type of price points, pretty close to pick. They're not going to be huge profit makers. They're going to need to win 100 plus to be legitimate money makers. And of course, look, you love the outfield, Benintendi, Bradley Jr., and Mookie. It's a team that is loaded. Everyone knows they're loaded. The markets know they're loaded. I'm nothing bad against the Red Sox. Again, they could have a very good year and win 97 games and not be huge moneymakers. They're not a team that I've got my eye on first thing in 2019 as moneymakers right from the get-go. I'll be more likely to look for spots to fade the defending champs than I will to back them in April and May as the season begins. Segment 2, every day we talk overnight line movers. And one thing you have to do if you're interested in line movement, as you should be, you want to be winning games by half a point, not losing games by half a point. And when you're following the lines, you can do that. SBRodds.com. Look, got to keep the lights on for this show. One of the things we do is promote Sportsbook Review and SBR because they have a ton of good stuff, including the live odds page, which is something that you should have bookmarked and be checking throughout the course of the day when you're interested in making wagers. Syracuse, Louisville. This is one that opened pick 'em, and boom, the money overnight came in on Syracuse right away from pick to -2. Total 133. Syracuse short chalk on the money line. There's not, when you look at this line move, I think it really is an anti-Louisville play. When you look at how it came in. And of course, Louisville blew a game 3 games ago in overtime. 2 games ago, they blew that game to Duke, where they led by double digits and let it all get away. Last time out, well, after the 23-point second half collapse against Duke, last time out, they escaped nearly blowing a 7-point lead with 17 seconds left. They got a 1-point win over Clemson on Saturday. They're worried about it. Certainly, head coach Chris Mack's worried about it. Down the stretch again, we have to figure out ways to close games better. I told our team mental errors and physical errors cannot be tolerated in winning time. Of course, Nova's coming off a pretty lousy game. They couldn't hit anything. Syracuse coming off a pretty lousy game. They shot 21 of 60 from the field, 5 of 25 from 3-point range in last week's loss to NC State. Boeheim, quote, "We're not winning many games shooting 20% from the 3 and 35 from the 2. We're just not going to win with an offense like that. They should have better scoring chances tonight in the markets. Certainly like their chances in that regard." Missouri Valley total. Boy, this was a big steam move overnight. Northern Iowa opened with a total of 130 offshore against Missouri State. Panthers versus Bears matchup. You like these matchups of the animal teams. That total's been bet all the way down 126. I'm seeing 125.5 out there right now. Big move to the under. It's been an under series. There's only one over since 2015. Panthers, 8-2 to the over the last 10. You say, wow, that's surprising, but they went under last time out, and the markets are saying that total was just too high for a Northern Iowa game, despite all those overs. And of course, the Bears, Missouri State, they're 8-2 to the under in their last 10 and coming off an over as well. Markets expecting a lower scoring game between Northern Iowa and Missouri State in Missouri Valley Conference action. And of course, we have a line move in the Mountain West as well. We always like to keep the mid-majors on our radar. Air Force opened as high as +15. They're down to +12.5 against Fresno State. A lot of this, well, some of this has to do with how these two teams have matched up. Fresno hasn't beaten Air Force by more than 12 since 2014. And oh, by the way, Air Force 8-0 against the spread. The last 8 meetings against Fresno, they've been underdogs every time. They've cashed every ticket in that underdog role, again, since 2014. So you can understand some of the Air Force love in the overnight betting markets. Watch what you bet. You better believe it. We've got a trio of big-time TV games to talk about for tonight. Let's start. No, I'm not going to start with Duke, North Carolina. I'm going to start with Nova and Georgetown. Why? That's the top game on the betting board. When you look at the rotation, when you go to SBRodds.com, you'll see what I'm talking about. The games are in rotation order. I like to go in rotation order. That's the way I think. That's my process. And I try to share as much of that with you, the viewing audience, here at Sportsbook Review as I can. So that means we're going to talk Nova and Georgetown first. Nova, 5.5-point road chalk, total 149.5. Certainly, if you're following the trends you're going to be looking at Villanova in this ballgame. They've been moneymakers all year, 17-9 ATS. They've been moneymakers on the road, 6-3. They've been moneymakers in conference, 9-4 against the number. Meanwhile, Georgetown only covered 4-point spreads at home all year. Money losers in the Big East. They have been moneymakers as a dog, but they have not enjoyed a particularly strong home court advantage. Oh, and by the way, they're facing a Villanova team that just blew a 19-point lead at St. John's. And you read the quotes, yeah, they're not real happy about how that went down. Mostly about defense for Villanova. Well, it was really both ends of the court, but the defense, they were 0, and they held St. John's without a made three-pointer in the first half, building that big lead. The second half, the Red Storm, 8 of 14 from beyond the arc. Nova head coach Jay Wright, there was great energy in the Garden. It was a great Big East basketball game. I thought the first half we were good. In the second half, they just took us out of it. They took us out of everything. We couldn't execute any offense. A lot of our turnovers and missed shots turned into transition baskets for them. That was the game. This really was the tale of two halves. So here's a Nova team that's been pretty dominant. They're coming off a bad second half on the road against a team that they've been pretty good against in every recent meeting. Of course, this line's not skyrocketing. Why? The markets like the spot for Georgetown. Georgetown hasn't played in a week. And the last time they played, a week ago, they've had the bye, per se, where they didn't go over the weekend. A complete no-show. 90-75 loss to Seton Hall. Dropped them to 15-10 overall. Dropped them to 5-7 in conference. Took them off the bubble. It was a really bad loss. Patrick Ewing, head coach, after the game. They beat us in all phases of the game. We were poor defensively. We didn't execute our offense well. We didn't show up. They've got a chance for redemption tonight on their home floor after having a full week to prepare for this one opponent. While I do like Villanova to bounce back with the victory, I'm a little bit concerned about this point spread. I had Nova on my short list. I did not pull the trigger once I saw those quotes out of Georgetown. It's a lean towards Nova, not a bet on the Wildcats for me tonight. I do think Georgetown has potential to hang around in this one and perhaps play a whole lot better than the last time we saw them on the floor. All right, all eyes are on the state of North Carolina tonight in the biggest marquee matchup, the rivalry, the game that even the non-college basketball fans tune into, and that, of course, is Duke, North Carolina. North Carolina's been real good in a lot of roles this year. Moneymakers, 14-9 ATS in all line game. 8-2 ATS on the highway, 8-4 against the spread versus ACC teams that even covered in one of their two tries as road dogs this season. Duke, mediocre numbers against the spread, 6-6 in conference play. It's hard to find value with a team like Duke at this stage of the campaign. It really is. I don't do a lot with betting on Duke. Once we get to the fact that, hey, they're the number one team in the country, everyone knows they're the number one team in the country, the markets are in love with this squad, certainly based on, we saw what they were laying in NC State the other day. They were laying 17 here. They're laying 9.5 to North Carolina. Why is this rivalry such a great rivalry? Well, let me put it this way. It's the 149th consecutive meeting with at least one of the two teams ranked. These are the college basketball elites. These are the Blue Bloods. And Coach K knows his team has stepped up in every big game so far this season. His quote, hopefully they play as well as they have in the other big games that we've had. They're talented, they're very mature, and they're all about team. There's a reason Duke's number one. There's a reason Duke is not the prohibitive favorite, but the favorite to cut down the nets on the second Monday in May. I got corrected. The first in April. The first Monday in April is not the national championship game this year. It's a rare occurrence where it'll be the second Monday in April, because April 8th is the national title. But there's a reason that Duke is favored to cut down the nets. They have as much or more talent than anyone. We talked about that on yesterday's show. We were talking about the odds for the first player to go number one in the draft, and 3 of the 4 top choices came from Duke. Obviously, with Zion Williamson, you have R.J. Barrett, who's been an absolute monster so far this season. From a talent standpoint, nobody is better than Duke. All that being said, It's only a one-game lead in the ACC on North Carolina, Virginia in between them. The quote from Roy Williams, we have an opportunity to go over there and see how we stand up. In my opinion, we have to play our best basketball of the year to have a chance against Duke. This is a different type of challenge than we faced all year. It's a Tar Heels team that has the experience that Duke doesn't. 3 seniors in their starting lineup. There's a veteran element that does arrive with the visiting team. They played at Cameron before. And, of course, it's a Tar Heels team that's 6-0 straight up on the ACC road this season. Forward and Luke May. We have to come out and play as well as we can. It's a tough road game, but we played well on the road all year. Guard Cameron Johnson, quote, not let the other stuff and the hype around it get to us. That's the top goal. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see North Carolina give this team a battle. They've been, again, with the 3 senior starters. I do think that matters. Read this quote from Barrett for Duke. I'm pretty pumped. It was a game as a kid I was watching all the time. Just to be part of it is going to be a lot of fun. The Frosh point guard, Trey Jones. For us, it'll be pretty normal. We still have some ACC games left, so it's not like this is the last game of the year. If I'm playing, I'm taking North Carolina plus. I understand how good Duke is, but I also understand how good North Carolina has been on the road in ACC play. Certainly respect their trio of senior starters, and I wouldn't be a little bit surprised to see this game turn into a blowout. Duke's played great in every step-up game this season, pretty much every one of them. I'm not convinced they're going to play great again tonight. At some point, Duke has a little bit of a hiccup, and for as good as the Williamson and Barrett are and the rest of the supporting cast, I think North Carolina can hang. I don't know if they can win, but if I'm playing North Carolina, you better believe I'll have a little bit of a taste of the money line in my pocket. Late night action in the Mountain West, Nevada, San Diego State. Are you guys paying attention to Mountain West basketball? These are the 2 best teams right here, right now. It's going to be a fun game tonight. Nevada's a Sweet 16 team from last year, and I'm telling you, they're better this year than they were last year. But head coach Eric Musselman not taking the Aztecs lightly, considering the fact the last 2 times these 2 teams played, San Diego State won, including an absolute domination over Nevada, the Mountain West tourney last year. That was a game that I'm certain the Wolfpack will remember. They trailed by as many as 30 in that contest. Eric Musselman talking about the team he's facing tonight. They're perfectly capable of beating anyone on any given night because they're really talented. They're as talented as any team we've played all year. Of course, the Wolfpack coming on a 10-game winning streak, and they're just annihilating teams, an average margin of 22 points per win during that span. 5 of the wins came by 20 or more. They're not blowing out everybody. They're blowing out the weak team. San Diego State's not a weak team. But when you look at the scoring punch that this Nevada squad has, they have the ability to put the biscuit in the basket. Caleb Martin, Jordan Caroline, these are 2 guys who can absolutely play at the next level, and perhaps at a high level at the next level. But let's not forget about Jalen McDaniels for San Diego State, who was also an NBA prospect. I think he'll be a pretty good NBA player. He's averaging 17 points and 8 rebounds per game. They got a senior point guard in Devin Watson, 16 points, 4 assists, and 66 made 3-pointers on the season. I would not be surprised at all to see this San Diego State team give Nevada a battle. Whether it's good enough to hang tough for 40 is another question. But this is one game, just like Duke, North Carolina. If I'm going to play, I'll be involved with the underdog, not the favorite. We like to close out that betting show with a segment we call On the Mic. And, of course, when it's me and Donnie, we get to argue about something. Donnie's got the day off, which means I'll argue with myself about something. And that, of course, is Manny Machado. We have to talk about the $300 million man. Did you see how the markets moved on San Diego? This is what they did. They went from 100 to 1 to win the World Series to 75 to 1. The win total went, some books moved it 2 wins, some books moved it 3. 78.5/79/79.5. Now the win total for San Diego. Still lined as a sub 500 team, even after spending $300 million on their superstar. Love the tweet from Jake Cornea yesterday. Over under 3.5 years until the Padres regret the deal. Nonetheless, it happened. So what happens next? Well, Bryce Harper's what happens next. All the talk is Philadelphia. Phillies opened at 86.5 wins. They're still sitting at 86.5 wins at the Westgate Superbook here in Las Vegas. There is line variance if you shop around, but we're not talking about a Phillies team that has seen the market attention that they might get if the markets were convinced that Bryce Harper was going to sign here. Of course, this is a Phillies team that went 80-82 last year, a third-place team. The Mets are going to be a whole lot better, I'll tell you that. I don't know if Atlanta's going to be quite as good necessarily. Washington on the way down, but certainly Atlanta, the Mets, the Nationals, all theoretical contenders in that division along with Philadelphia. Look at their starting pitching. Yeah, they got Nola. I'm not sold on Arrieta being a stud long term. I got questions at the 3, 4, 5 spot. I got questions in the bullpen. I've got questions all over that Philadelphia Phillies roster. Again, they're an 80-win team from last year. They're about to spend $325 million on Bryce Harper. Knock yourself out, Phillies. Watch your win total go up 2 wins like the Padres did like the Padres win total did after you spent $300+ million. All of it guaranteed, although there's an opt-out for Machado after 5 years. I believe it's a player-only opt-out. Nonetheless, Padres get some buzz. The Phillies will get some buzz if they make this signing. Will that buzz matter in October or next year or the year after? I wouldn't bet on it. The track records for the team signing the big free agents, expecting them to be difference makers in MLB, not particularly good. There you have it, folks. Thank you so much for spending time during your busy day with me here on That Betting Show. Check out sportsbookreview.com. We'll be back again tomorrow. Donnie and me will break it all down in 20 minutes or less right here on That Betting Show. Enjoy the games. Good luck.